Hey guys, welcome. Well, there you go. Oven's ready. Welcome back to another video. We're doing a what's for dinner in today's video. My first dinner we're gonna be making is I think it's called Southwest Taco Stuffed Spaghetti Squash, but I'll have it all linked below. I'm gonna be doing it a little bit different as is usual because there's a few things I just don't have on hand. And I'm not so sure about the ratios. I'm gonna play it by ear. I may adjust the ratios that they suggest as well. But anyways, to get started, I'm going to get my spaghetti squash in the oven at 350. And that takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour based on the size. If it's a small one, you can probably do it in 30 minutes. I'm guessing mine will take about 45 minutes. And we're just gonna slice it in half, scoop out the seeds, rub on some olive oil and some salt, and throw it in the oven. All right, so this recipe does call for like red pepper or a bell pepper and a jalapeno, which I do not have. The recipe also only calls for a half a pound of ground beef, which doesn't seem like a lot to me. I'm cooking up a whole pound just because that's how my packages come, and I'm gonna take out half and add it in if I need to. But again, I'm gonna have the original recipe in the description box below because I'm going to vary from it with ratios. Like it asks for a whole can of, well, not a whole can. What did it ask for? A whole can of black beans and a cup of corn, a whole can of diced tomatoes, and all that seems like a lot for only half a pound of ground beef. So I'm gonna just mix stuff until it looks like the right thing that I want. I'm gonna do all the same seasoning amounts, unless I end up doubling the meat, then obviously I'll add more of that. So anyways, my ground beef is cooking now. So let's get back over to the stove, but I just wanted to put that in there. Check the description box for the original recipe. All right, so I've got my ground beef all browned up and I'm taking that out. And if you have a lot of fat, which I do not, you could wipe that clean. And then I put in some avocado oil. You could use olive oil. And I'm going to saute up half an onion. The recipe did call for one whole onion, but I was very limited on onions that week. And you'd also cook your peppers there too, but I didn't have any. And then adding in some minced garlic. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in 1 can of diced tomatoes, along with some chili powder, smoked paprika, and cumin. Now I will say that their ratios were pretty actually accurate, so I would follow the recipe. The only thing I think I didn't do quite the same was I didn't put in a whole can of black beans. But for the most part, their ratios were right. It just didn't seem right in my head at first, but as I went along, it was perfect. Now you're gonna let this cook until that tomato juice has cooked off, and the mixture is thick. Now I did add in just a little bit of water because it just seemed like it needed it, even though it is supposed to thicken up. I think I thought it was like burning or something, so I just added in a tiny bit, but you of course don't need to be doing that. So while I have that tomato sauce mixture thickening up, I pulled the spaghetti squash out of the oven and just flipped them over to fluff them with a fork. As you can see, it's extremely hot. I recommend waiting a little bit before you do this. It's a good way to get burned, but anyways, once that mixture is nice and thick, you're going to add in your rinsed and drained black beans as well as some corn, and then you're going to add in your half a pound of ground beef, and you're just going to mix that all together until it's all, happy together. Now I'm adding in the spaghetti squash. I did about half at a time just because it was hard to mix it. I think I just need a bigger skillet, but you're going to add the spaghetti squash in and just mix the whole thing all together. So once you have everything well mixed, you're going to put the mixture into your shells of the spaghetti squash. Now I think you could probably just put this into a casserole dish and it would be just fine, but this is what the recipe says to do, and it's fun to have your own little stuffed spaghetti squash, but this definitely serves more than 2 people. So then you're gonna just top that with some cheese. I think I used Monterey Jack, but you could use, I don't know, whatever you want, I guess. And then pop it back in the oven. It says to put it under the broiler for 15 minutes. I don't know, it seems like a long time, but you want it to get all melty, and this dinner was really, really good. So on this night for dinner, we are just gonna have a simple breakfast for dinner, and I like to cook my bacon in the oven at 400 degrees, and it depends on how crispy you like your bacon and how much fat you have on it, but I would start at like 15 minutes. Anyways, I think I've shared these pancakes with you before. I am doubling the recipe, but the measurements for the single recipe, which it doesn't make a ton of pancakes, which is why I doubled it, but it's a ½ cup of oats that have been ground up, 1 egg, 2½ tablespoons of yogurt. I'm using vanilla yogurt here because that's what I had. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a tablespoon of honey, and a teaspoon of baking soda. If you're looking for a flourless pancake or even just something different, these are really good. We've made these a couple times and they come out nice and fluffy. They're just really good. And these oats happen to be gluten-free, but they don't need to be. That's just what I had on hand. And as you can see, you're just gonna mix all of that together, and I'm just, cooking them up with butter. You could also use coconut oil if you wanted. I also recently shared a recipe, and I'll have that linked below, for some hot chocolate pancakes. My husband wasn't quite interested in those for dinner, so I made those another day for breakfast for me, but check those out too if you're interested. They were really good, and not like overly sweet, but really good and would be really fun. So I'm cooking up some scrambled eggs in some bacon grease that I had in the fridge, because why not? So just a simple breakfast for dinner of pancakes, eggs, and bacon, and this was really good. We don't get to eat breakfast together very often, like at breakfast time, so breakfast for dinner is how that happens. So on this night, I was just making a really quick and easy sheet pan meal. We needed, I don't remember what day this was, but we just needed dinner pretty quick. So I'm just peeling and dicing up a couple of potatoes, and then we're gonna do the same thing with carrots, and I'm just tossing them in a bowl. If the sound is at all weird, I'm doing my voiceover a little bit different this time, hanging out with my husband, but I'm using my headset microphone. So anyways, I hope the sound is clear. So I just thought I'd mention that in case for some reason it's not. You could cut these up any way you wanted. I kept them pretty small so that they would cook pretty quickly, because like I said, we were kind of in a hurry to eat. I'm just putting in some olive oil, some oregano. Again, there's no measurements, just do it to taste. We've got some basil, and then I'm also gonna add in some parsley, garlic powder, onion powder, and then I'm using some seasoned salt called Herbamare. You could use regular salt or other seasoned salt, whatever. And then a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. So just kind of going with what sounded good to me, which is why I like these sheet pan meals. There's no specific, there are ones that are specific recipes, but I was just kind of going for it. So we're gonna just toss everything to coat it really well. And then cutting up the kielbasa. I think these are like the beef and pork ones, but it really doesn't matter. You could use like chicken sausage links, or I don't know, really anything you want. These are fully cooked, so they don't have to, you don't have to worry about them getting cooked. They're just getting heated up and obviously like browned a little bit. Tossing everything on a lined baking sheet with that I have sprayed with some cooking spray, and then we're just going to toss this in the oven. I think I did it at 400 degrees. I love how the bottoms of them got a little bit crispy. I just love the flavor from that, and tossing that around until, just make sure your potatoes and carrots are cooked through, and then you're done. So I'm testing it out now. Potatoes were cooked, and that was what was for dinner this night. Super easy to throw together and absolutely delicious. All right, guys, well, for tonight's dinner, we are having, well, I'm having burger bowls. I'm not sure if my husband's gonna have it that way or not, but either way, I need to make some burgers. So I've got some ground beef. I'm gonna add in some Worcestershire sauce. I'm using this Herbamare herb sea salt, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and I'm going to put on my gloves because I do not like mixing meat with my bare hands and picking meat out of my fingernails. And I'm gonna make a couple of patties. All right, to go with our burgers or burger bowls, we're gonna make these tater tots that Jesse had talked me into getting when we were at the store.
You're welcome.
Thank you, dear. And I'm just cooking the hash browns according to the directions on the package. And then we got everything ready for our burger bowls. You can really just do whatever you want. We just did some chopped lettuce, tomato, and some chopped up dill pickles, as well as some cheese. If you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Leanne. I'm so glad you're here. I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave by hitting that button at the bottom of the video and joining my YouTube family so you don't miss out on my future videos. I love to share recipes with you. Right now we're doing Vlogmas, so I'm sharing a variety of content. I also love to do DIYs and decorating stuff when the need and desire arises. Now for my husband's burger bowl dressing, I guess you could say, he's making a mixture of mayonnaise and steak sauce, basically thinking of things that go well with a burger because it's basically just a deconstructed burger. And then I'm making a ranch dressing. I make my own with sour cream and my homemade ranch seasoning mix. And then you just add in a little bit of milk to thin it out. I used heavy whipping cream instead of milk this time, and that didn't really work out because it really didn't thin it out, but it just looked a little bit gloppy or gloopy. I don't know, are those words to describe food? I don't know. But that's, you know, it just didn't look quite the consistency of dressing, but it tasted great. And works a little bit better though if you use, you know, milk to thin it out, and you just kind of do it to taste. So that's what I had for my salad, or my burger bowl rather, and we ended up wanting them cooked just a little bit more, so we chopped them up into big chunks and I heated them in the microwave for just a short bit to cook them just a tiny bit more and get them nice and hot since it had been a little while since we had cooked them, and put them on the burgers on the salads like this, and these were really good along with the hash browns. This was delicious. Anyways, that is going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That helps me out so much, and I will see you next time.